What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? My head hurts. Oh, golly. Oh, I wonder why. Can we solve the mystery as to why your head hurts? Because they're so much a part of our personal lives, I think we sometimes hesitate to examine the processes by which we project emotion and feeling. Full spectrum experience is what we're aiming for here. Full spectrum experience is integral to being good at this stuff. A full spectrum communicator is somebody who's aware of and exercises a complete range of choices on many different energy spectrums. Physical, vocal, emotional, mental, spiritual. It's a package, a coherent package that you're presenting, and it's creating a good energy. Your emotions, your body language, your voice, your psychology, all these things are intertwined as you communicate. There's all these different so-called modes from inner to outward expression, and the mind is acting as a bridge or a barrier. We want to increase the amount of time that our mind is spending in useful and supportive activity as opposed to being this judgmental hindrance. Again, we also want to look at the emotional processes. Now again, remember, here's the thing. Big difference between exercise and performance, isn't there? It's much different in the much more inhibiting circumstances of actual social interaction, especially in a dating situation, because it's so results-oriented, right? It's very easy to get into a judgment space. And then you just do it, you go on the shame spiral. So again, you gotta have exercise, but then you also must perform. You gotta perform. And again, this is something that I've been speaking to for many years. You know, there's this phenomenon of those who they've been engaging with this material for many years, but then they really don't take much action. And then they come on a boot camp, and they're like, I've been studying for 6 years, and I haven't gone out at all. Now I'm ready to go out. I'm like, ugh. Like internally, I'm like, okay. Like externally, I'm like, oh yeah, great. And then internally, like that Chrissy Teigen like smiled thing, like, because I know what the hell it's gonna be. It's just gonna be like ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. Bing bong, bing bong, bing. Can't stick and set for more than 30 seconds. Sad face. Serious, anxious, deadpan. Right? So for these people, and they know goddamn well what's happening. But again, we got to start to examine this stuff. So that's why this work, this kind of introspection is so important, because you want to become aware of these processes and these inhibitions so you can start to release them. We're intellectualizing things here. And we're enlisting our intellect here in the process of transcending itself. And then we're going to go out, and hopefully you're going to, when you're out, I don't want you thinking about this. I want you to internalize this, start to develop awarenesses of what's going on. But when you're out, just perform. Let those awarenesses inform your behavior, almost subconsciously. If there's one overarching tenet of what I've been teaching the past couple of years, it's this: tension is the enemy. Tension is the enemy. Both physical tension and intellectual language-based densities. Tension is the enemy. A tense muscle is going to be less receptive to higher energies than a loose muscle. Density is a problem. You want to stay loose as hell. Tension is your greatest enemy as you attempt to increase your energizing capacities, as you attempt to increase your charisma. Right? That slightest physical tension can block what would otherwise be a free flow of communicating energy. So in other words, if you're out there, I want you to start like habitually doing conscious tension checks. Because the thing is, the subtle onset of tension over the course of a night, it can be subliminal. These guys don't realize they're doing it. They know. Some of these guys, they've taken multiple programs with me. I tell them this repeatedly, again and again and again and again and again and again and again. But those old habits continue to assert themselves. And the tensions keep being there. They know damn well, if I go up and I'm like, that's generally not going to get a good result. Yet they continue to do it. They continue to do it. They continue to shuffle around the club. What now, Jeffy? Oh, what now? Oh, I don't know. Learn to play the guitar, learn Japanese, fucking do a headstand. Like, I don't know, fucking go talk to someone. What the fuck do you think I'm going to say? This ain't brain surgery. Ain't rocket science, rocket surgery, brain science, right? So our purpose here is twofold, really. Number one, to identify these obstructing tensions, and number two, to explore various mechanisms by which we can release these tensions. But when you become aware of them, number one, you got to do this without shame, without guilt. They'll be like, oh, what a piece of shit I am. What an inherent failing on my part that I'm experiencing this. In fact, I would even say, because again, that's what caused most of these problems in the first place, right? It's just compounding the problem. But I would even go so far as to say this. Instead of just not feeling shame or guilt about it, thank them. Thank the inhibitions. Honor them. Be like, you know what? At one point, this was useful to me. At one point in my life, this was useful and necessary for me. It's not anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. Like, you say that right now. I don't need to do this anymore. And just feel it. Feel the difference and weight off your shoulders. Feel the tension leave your body. I literally said it, and I literally felt tension leave my body. Like, just let it go, man. And it's like, you ever seen that shit Marie Kondo? Where she cleans the person's house, and she's like, this brings me joy, keep it. This does no longer. Thank you for your service. And you like throw it in the fucking trash. Thank it for its service. Throw it away. Right? It's that easy. So again, we want to talk about charisma, and I've said this before, the ability to project energy can be thought of as charisma, right? A high energy output of psychological or physiological energy, okay? So it would stand to reason if we define it as energy, bring the energy up, the charisma will increase. But again, we've got to make sure that there's nothing impeding the flow. There's got to be a congruency between intellect and intuition. They got to be sort of dovetailing with one another. Intellect's great, it's not a villain, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we do want to kind of let go of logic and thought when you're actually in actual interactions. You've got to give up predictive control for in-process control. Write that down if you're writing stuff down. Give up, and let's just say it together to reiterate, give up predictive control to gain in-process control. This isn't a so understand this. This isn't a denying of the intellect. It's not a denying of intellectual language. It's a part of the whole, but its dominant role has to be given up as it integrates as a synergistic aspect into this whole system, right? You got to give up the dominant role of logic. Give up the dominant role of needing to have all the data before you arrive at a conclusion. In a social situation, you don't have all the information. You gotta rely on hunches. Think about like a hedge fund manager or someone who does like high risk trading, like environments. They don't have all the information. They can do it to the best of their ability. They have algorithms and things to help them, but a lot of times they gotta rely on hunches, guesses, rumors, soft data, things like that. And the thing is, if you want to think about intellect and intuition as they're not in opposition to each other. They're like two faucets, like two flows feeding into the same faucet. Okay? And very often when we're dealing with a problem, we'll hop back and forth between intuition and like applied logic and we'll to arrive at the solution. So, but again, in my experience, intuition is way, way undervalued. Sometimes the intellect will sort of grudgingly acknowledge it, like dreams and stuff, I guess. But because it's not a conscious process that you're aware of, you think it doesn't exist, or you think it's magic or some sort of like tomfoolery. But again, your subconscious mind is very, very powerful. Trust it. That's what you say. Trust your faculties. Trust your faculties and allow yourself to say the funniest thing. Just being funny. People say, how can I be funny? The act of being humorous is like a little internal act of rebellion. It's like, let me allow this. Let me allow this thing that's kind of fucked up. Let me allow this thing that might not work. Let me allow this thing that's a little transgressive. You'll often be like very surprised by the things your intuition comes up with. I often am like, I'm hilarious. When you have an intuitive impulse and it comes out and it hits, there's a sense of symmetry. There's a sense of the completion of an incomplete gestalt. There's a sense of wholeness. John Keats said, beauty is truth, truth, beauty. And I think that intuition kind of has that sort of feeling of truth to it when you allow it. Your prime directive should simply be, what is the funniest thing I could say right now? To me, what would be the funniest thing for me to do? What would be the most fun thing for me to do right now? Do that. What would be the weirdest thing I could do right now? Try that. What would make this the most interesting? Do that. Simply don't go up and say, what's up? Hand on the lower back. What's up? What's up? Again, if, hey, what's up? If that worked, I would do that. And y'all want to do this, hey, what's up? What's up? Let's say that kid who said what's up on the street, let's say he changed it, he tweaked it a little. What if he went up and said, what the fuck is up? Oh, interesting. This is different. Little sauce on it. Little something. It's different. Interesting. What the fuck is up? With like a smirk or a smile. How about this? Good evening. My name's Jeff, and people like me for me. How about, any of that would be superior to, hey, what's up? What's up? No, stop. You're hurting yourself. Stop hurting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like when I see these guys doing this. They're like just punching themselves in the fucking head and saying, and like, what's up? What's up? What's up? And at the end of the night, they're like, my head hurts. Oh, golly. Oh, I wonder why. What a mystery. Can we solve the mystery as to why your head hurts? Because you're fucking up. Stop it. Try something different. Make a look, there's always going to be a fear of stepping through those inhibitions and expressing yourself in a different way. It's never going to go away. The only way to get through it is to step up and step into it. Make that leap. Get a non-judgmental, healthy space inside of yourself where you can make that leap through the fear into the unknown. The only way to familiarize yourself with these energies is in direct experience with them. You can't intellectualize this. You got to go. Step through it. That's why I think in-field training is so important, because it's like, okay, here we are, four-dimensional meat space. You're going to feel the emotions flooding your body. You're going to feel the brain chemicals changing. You're going to feel it all. You're going to feel that crushing weight of the social conditioning bringing itself to bear on your desires to interact. You're going to feel that. But here's the thing. I always argue that the cumulative effect of not stepping up through that fear is far more damaging to you psychologically over time than just stepping up and stepping through it. Because over time, it informs your self-image, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I suck, I'm a coward, I can't do this, it's terrible. And the older you get, the more calcified it becomes. And then very often, these older fellows that I get on the program, they become very skilled at rationalization and defensiveness. They will have very elaborate, well-thought-out reasons for why they can't do this, and they don't want to do this, and X, Y, Z. And honestly, some of these guys are smart, and they make sense. I'm like, shit, that's like an airtight, logical case. Can't even argue with you. All right, I'd suggest you try, but if you insist. So these tension addicts, they're very skilled at it. So what we want is two things. So rubber to the road here, we need two things, okay? Number one, as I said, we need horizontal plot development. You need technique. You need to understand how to move it forward. You also must have vertical vibe expansion, vertical vibe development. Horizontal plot, vertical vibe, vertical lyric expansion. You can't just roll up on them and expect them to immediately go along with you on your little horizontal plot development path. Vibing can seem alien to a lot of people because it seems to sort of willfully revel in this narrative stasis, right? It doesn't seem like it's doing anything. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Because let's face it, in most of your life, you're communicating in a concise way to convey information. That's not the case when you're socializing. And you've really got to be able to like just create a vibe for the sake of the vibe. So again, this is a set of opposites that needs to be reconciled. Vertical vibe versus horizontal plot. Vertical vibe versus horizontal plot. What's some other opposites that we encounter in this? Direct versus indirect. What else? Logic versus emotion. What else? Seriousness versus playfulness. What else? High energy versus repose. What else? Discipline versus freedom. What else? Humility versus narcissism. What else? Perhaps most importantly, Who am I? Versus what can I become? So we've got to learn how to somehow reconcile all of these various opposites. But here's something that's very interesting, and I want you to remember this. If you're writing anything down, this is a good one to do. The greatest vitality along a spectrum of energy is through the interaction of the opposites that form that spectrum. In other words, you've got to find progression inherent in the vibe. And conversely, you've got to find a sense of emotional or lyric depth in those moments of horizontal plot development. You've got to bring a soul to the method. A method has no soul. You have to bring the soul to the method. You want to move from currently what you have, which is an unconscious use of your natural technique, to a more conscious implementation of more formalized techniques, if that makes sense. So conscious manipulation, like an increasingly aware use of this, conscious manipulation of physical, vocal, emotional energies, it's got to seem to become unconscious and natural. And this is largely a matter of exercise. We learn a new style of communication via interaction between our current personality and the altered demands that are being put upon us by the interactions and types of results that we want to have. If you want to have certain results, you need to take into account the reality that those results are going to put increased demands upon your communication and your ability, particularly what we're talking about here, your ability to express emotional energy facially, physically, physiologically, with gesture, touch, movement through space, keeping loose, avoiding tension, allowing free flow between the inner and outer, making your face a perfect lens, as perfect as it can be, between what you're thinking and what's being expressed externally. I think for most people there's a huge gap between what they think they're projecting and what is being perceived by other people. An enhanced vibe can be thought of, hear me out here, as an expansion of the natural feeling or action. It's you, but it's understand that all ways of being, including your current one, are stylized. There's no such thing as one way of acting or another way of acting being more natural than another. They're just these selections of patterns. At least as an adult, you can decide. Like when you were a child, it was just these external influences. You didn't have the cognitive abilities to actually make an informed decision. Now you can make an informed decision about how you want to behave going forward. Right? Like I said, honor those old ways. They're a part of you, and it's an evolution. You guys are no one here is a product. You're all a process. And the more that you're able to view yourself as a process, the better you'll be able to engage with the process going forward. So you want to exercise with many different styles until the human energies feeding them are no longer inhibited by the shape of the vessel into which they flow.